You haven't slept here in 3 nights. I needed space, she said, reaching into the fridge and pulling out a bottle of wine. God forbid a woman wants 10 minutes without being followed around by her babysitter. Is that what I am now? Babysitter, I smell someone else on you. That's what I said when she walked in the door that Tuesday night, just after 11 p.m., heels in one hand and a stupid grin still smeared across her face. She blinked, paused in the hallway, like she hadn't heard me right. Then she laughed. Not nervously, not guiltily. No, Madison laughed like I'd told her a joke she'd already heard. I was at Sarah's, she said, flipping her hair back like we were doing this for the 100th time. She made that onion dip you hate. She stepped out of her heels and walked barefoot across the hardwood, trailing perfume that wasn't hers. Something expensive, chemical and sharp, like winter over a dead flower bed. I didn't move from the couch. You left wearing flats. In a hoodie. That's a cocktail dress. She stopped halfway to the kitchen, turned slowly, then rested her hands on her hips. And what? You've been cataloging my outfits now? Jesus, Logan. This is why I don't tell you where I go. You turn everything into an interrogation. I'm just asking, I said calmly. Who puts on red lipstick and Valentino to eat dip on a couch? You're right, she said, nodding. Next time I'm out, I'll make sure to wear overalls and Crocs. Would that make you feel less insecure? I stood. Not because I wanted to fight, because I was done sitting down. She poured the wine too fast, let it splash onto the counter. Didn't even look. You used to be a man. Then you got soft. Always tired, always broke. Always whining about something that isn't fair. I work 10 hours a day at a shop you drive past with your nose in the air. And whose fault is that? She snapped. Who told you to turn down that promotion last year? Who told you it was too corporate for your delicate soul? I turned it down so I could pick up Caleb from school. You were supposed to be the one home by 5. Don't bring Caleb into this, she said, wagging a finger. You don't get points for doing the bare minimum as a parent. Congratulations, you didn't abandon your child. No, I said quietly, but someone else did. She froze, then smiled. The slow, sick kind. You want to say that again? You heard me. She stepped closer, glass in one hand, eyes daring me to raise my voice. You think you're some victim here, Logan? Poor, loyal Logan. Putting up with the big bad who finally outgrew his mediocrity. I think I'm married to a stranger who can't even lie with conviction anymore. She sipped the wine, eyes still on mine. So leave. What? She shrugged. Leave. Pack your rusty toolbox and your patchy jacket and go find someone who wants a man who clips coupons and still wears shoes with holes in them. I stay for Caleb. You stay, she said, stepping even closer. Because you're scared no one else will ever love you. I didn't say anything for a long second. Just stood there, tasting copper in the back of my throat. Then I laughed. Quiet, Lo? Funny thing is, I said, I do still love you. Even after everything. Her smirk dropped, just for a blink. But every night I watch you come home later. Dressed up for someone else. Lying with a straight face. And I start to wonder if what I miss isn't really you, but the version of you I made up in my head. Spare me the Hallmark monologue, she muttered, turning away. You know what's crazy? I said. Even now, even after 3 days gone and that cologne on your neck, part of me still hoped you'd have a real excuse. A flat tire. A friend in the hospital. Something. She leaned against the counter and rolled her eyes. You're pathetic. No, I said. You're cruel. There's a difference. She tossed back the rest of her wine. Then she did something I'll never forget. She took out her phone, tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward me. A photo. Of her. In a hotel room. Wearing something black and lacy. Holding a flute of champagne. You want honesty, Logan? There. That's honesty. My hands didn't move. My breath didn't change. I just looked at her like she was already a ghost. Why? I asked. She set the phone down. Because I could. Because I wanted to feel something again. Did you? She hesitated. Not really. Then she picked up her purse and walked past me. I'll be out late again tomorrow, she said over her shoulder. Don't wait up. The door slammed behind her. And I stood there, alone in the kitchen, heart kicking at my ribs, a wine glass still spinning slightly on the countertop, casting reflections like cracks in glass. That was 4 days before the party. 4 days before I took Caleb to the lake house. 4 days before everything came undone. Sunday afternoon, 2 days after the hotel photo. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry. That part had burned off. What kept me up was the silence. The way she had smiled when she showed me that photo, like it was a trophy. Like she wanted me to see what she was capable of. Like breaking me was her hobby. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I just sat at the kitchen table staring at the photo on her phone, burned into my memory like a brand. She was testing me. She wanted a reaction. She wanted fireworks, shouting, broken furniture, something she could film and twist into her next story. She didn't get that. Instead, she came home at 3 a.m. reeking of alcohol and something musky. She saw me sitting there, waiting, just sipping cold black coffee with shaking hands. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked flatly, as if she hadn't turned our marriage into a bonfire. "No," I said. "I was busy imagining you getting hit by a bus." She smirked, peeled off her heels, and disappeared upstairs. I heard her laugh once, just one note, before the door clicked shut, and that's when something inside me shifted. Not snapped, not exploded, shifted. I didn't want to fight her anymore. I wanted to haunt her. Sunday afternoon. Lake House, the party. I had planned to drop off Caleb and leave. But when he showed me the card he'd made, again, I knew I had to go in with him. He needed to see at least one parent who gave a damn. He held the card like a sacred text, smiling, wearing that little clip-on tie he'd picked out himself. "She's gonna cry," he said. "She might," I said. "But if she doesn't, remember, that says more about her than about you." He looked confused, but he nodded. We walked up the gravel path to the lake house, and right on cue, the front door opened. Lorraine stood there, in a white suit like she was attending a second wedding, and that ever-present glass of wine like it was glued to her hand. "Oh," she said. "I assumed you'd have the decency to just send the boy." "He's not a package," I said. "Well," she sniffed. "At least he's presentable." We walked in. The place had changed. The old, cozy touches I remembered were gone, replaced with glass art and sleek chairs nobody sat in. The smell of wood polish had been replaced with grapefruit essential oils and something synthetic and cold. And there she was, Madison, in another tight dress, standing beside Trevor, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. Caleb tightened his grip on my hand. Then he saw the cake and forgot everything else. He ran toward it. Madison turned and saw me. Her smile faltered. Then she leaned into Trevor and whispered something. He chuckled and looked my way. I didn't move, just watched. That's when she tapped her glass and called out, "Everyone, quick photo. Family only." She pulled Trevor and Caleb into frame. Then she turned to me. "Logan, could you get the picture? You've always had such steady hands." People laughed. My jaw tensed. But I nodded. "Say divorce." I snapped the photo. Then I walked over to the table, reached into my pocket, and dropped a small black box in front of her. "What's this?" she asked, annoyed. "Open it," I said. She did. Inside was a ring. But not hers. It was my mother's wedding band. The one I kept in my wallet. The one she used to ask about, and I always said I'd give to Caleb someday. It wasn't a gift. It was a message. "I'm taking it back," I said. "It belongs to someone who understood what commitment meant." She closed the box slowly. "Are you trying to embarrass me?" she whispered. "Not yet," I said. "But I'm warming up." As we left, Caleb stopped in the hallway. "Dad," he whispered. I heard Trevor talking to that man again. The one with the scar. "He said your name." My stomach twisted. "They said I was getting too close." "Did they see you?" I asked. "I don't think so." I guided him out fast. As we reached the truck, I saw someone across the road step back behind a tree. Too quick to catch a face, but not quick enough to hide the outline of a long black coat. Someone was watching us. 2 days later, I bought a small cardboard box from the post office in town. I filled it with shredded paper, a printed photo of the Mirador Inn with room number circled in red marker, and a pair of pink lacy panties. They weren't Madison's. Didn't matter. I wrote one line on the inside of the box. "You left this in my truck." Again, no return address. I mailed it to her office, to the branch manager's attention. 4 days after that, I sent a plush teddy bear, head missing, stuffing leaking out the neck seam. Same perfume she wore last year sprayed across the fur. Inside the box was another note. "This is what you did to your son's heart." No name, no fingerprints. I knew she'd read it alone in her office before calling security. Exactly what I wanted. And this isn't the end that I found it in the bathroom sink. Long, black strands. Not Madison's color. Trevor's? Or some other woman's? Didn't matter. I braided it and tied it with a red ribbon. Put it in a small black envelope. No return. This time, I mailed it to her yoga studio. Inside, a note in block letters. "Everything leaves a trail." When Caleb came home from his weekend with her quieter than usual. "She jumped when the doorbell rang," he said. Then told me to go to my room. "She never does that." "Did someone visit?" I asked. He nodded. "A guy in a suit." He gave her a folder and said something about reputation containment. I smiled. Did she seem scared? Yeah, kind of like when the storm hit and we lost power last year. Good, I said, because that's all I wanted now. I didn't want her to cry. I wanted her to scan every room twice. I wanted her to flinch every time the mail came. I wanted her to wonder what I knew and how much worse it could get. 2 days later, late one night, I came home from a late shift. Caleb was already asleep. I stepped into the garage and found something waiting for me on the workbench. An envelope. No stamp. No handwriting. Just a blank white envelope taped to the bench. Inside, a single Polaroid of Caleb at school, walking alone on the playground. On the back, written in tiny black ink, "Don't forget, you have something to lose too." I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was scared. Because someone just crossed a line. Now, I wasn't just playing with her head. I was playing to win. And whoever thought they could threaten my son, they were about to find out who I used to be before I wore steel-toed boots and drank instant coffee. Sunday night, after the Polaroid, the envelope with the photo of Caleb didn't scare me. It calcified me. Because fear comes with options, fight or flight. But this was clarity. Cold. Focused. Like someone flipped a switch in the back of my brain. It told me what I already suspected. This wasn't just Madison sneaking around with a glorified cologne ad. This was surveillance. And they were trying to bait me. I slid the Polaroid back in the envelope and locked it in the toolbox my dad gave me, under the false bottom where I used to stash painkillers after my back injury. That box had secrets before. It would again. I checked on Caleb. He was still asleep, hugging that lopsided blanket he made in second grade. He'd mumbled something about constellations before bed, Venus, Jupiter, Orion. Said he was building a solar system out of Legos next. I watched him for a long minute. Then I turned off the hall light and went downstairs. Time to look backward before I could move forward. I still had the burner phone in the drawer. The one I swore I'd never use again. The one from before I started fixing trucks for a living. Before I said, I do to a woman who saw love like a stepping stone. I powered it on. No updates. No messages. Just an old wallpaper of my dad holding a fish the size of his torso, smiling with 3 teeth missing. I scrolled through the saved contacts and found the one I didn't expect to need again. Alex Deadline Vaughn. Last time I saw Alex, we were both trying to stay off the radar after a government gig went sideways overseas. He'd gone quiet after that. Rumors said he was somewhere in Utah building something with his hands and hiding from every satellite in the sky. I sent him a message. Need eyes. High level. My kid might be on their radar. Call me. Logan. Didn't expect a reply. Got one 7 minutes later. You got 24 hours. Pack. Come alone. I smiled. Some friendships don't die. Monday, before I left town, I needed to see what Madison was hiding. I drove to the old house while she was at work. Still had a garage clicker. Still had the timing right. She never upgraded the security. I parked a block away, walked through the back gate, and slipped inside through the laundry room. No cameras. No neighbors nosy enough to care. I went straight to her vanity. Top drawer, makeup. Second drawer, receipts. Third drawer, locked. I smiled. Still had the flathead screwdriver in my back pocket. Popped it open in 2 minutes. Inside, one prepaid phone, one hotel room key, and to hear it was a coded journal. Handwritten. Neatly organized. Tucked inside the pages were receipts from a chain of motels 2 towns over, all paid in cash. Dates were recent. Somewhere during the week she said she was networking. I flipped further. Found a business card paperclipped to a journal page. Levon Solutions, Bryce L. No phone. No address. Just initials. Trevor's real name? Did she even know who she was sleeping with? Or did she know exactly? I snapped photos of everything. Put it all back just as I found it. Almost. I left a single white rose on top of the vanity. No note. Just enough to make her blood run cold when she found it. Tuesday. Alex lived in a trailer 3 hours into the desert, behind a hill that barely qualified as a town. The kind of place people pass through on accident and never admit to visiting. He answered the door in a thermal, unshaved, holding a mug that said, "Coffee first, questions later." "Thought you were dead," he said, squinting. "Thought you were off the grid." He grunted. "Close enough." I told him everything. The hotel receipt. The bear. The Polaroid of Caleb. The coded journal. Trevor or Bryce. Madison's new skin. He didn't flinch. He just sat at his desk, fingers flying across the keyboard of a beat-up laptop, connected to God knows what under the digital dirt. "I ran Levon Solutions," he said. "It's a shell. No real incorporation. No licenses. No legal footprint. So he's hiding. He's not hiding, Alex said. He's laundering. They're using properties in your town to move funds through a dummy health tech investment. Your wife? She's listed as a strategic advisor on 2 LLCs. I blinked. She's on paper? Yeah, deep enough to fry if it all burns. I sat down, hard. You think she knows? Alex raised an eyebrow. She's cashing checks from fake businesses. That answered that. That night, I sent another package. This one was different. Inside the box, a small, broken mirror. I scratched the word truth across it with the edge of a car key. No note. No return. Sent it to her new apartment. Alex laughed when I told him. She started it. Don't get too deep, man. You've still got a kid in the middle. I haven't forgotten, I said. That's why I'm doing this. Wednesday morning, Caleb came home early. The school called to say there was a fire drill but mentioned something strange. A man in a suit had shown up asking questions. Said he was with school security review board. Only, we don't have one. I asked Caleb what he looked like. He had a mark on his cheek, he said. Like a cut that never healed. The same scar he saw at the lake house. Trevor's man. Now they were showing up at the school? That changed everything. I called Alex. Pull footage, I said. He already had. Your wife's being watched too, he said. Same guy. Her office. Her gym. Her car. By who? Could be internal. Could be federal. Could be Trevor covering his tracks. But your name? It's been flagged. Thursday afternoon, I saw her. She was parked outside Caleb's school, in her car, crying into her hands. Alone. I didn't interrupt. Didn't wave. I just watched from my truck as she unraveled. She was wearing sunglasses, but I could see the trembling. The fear. She had finally realized that her secrets had shadows, and that I had stopped playing defense. Friday. It was a dull gray morning when Caleb found the flash drive. He was digging through his backpack before school, looking for his spelling list. Instead, he pulled out a plain black USB, no markings, no label. Dad, this isn't mine. He held it out like it might bite. I took it slowly. Where'd you get this? He shrugged. Wasn't there yesterday. I swear. I believed him. He was too honest for his own good sometimes. I didn't plug it in at the house. I wasn't that stupid. Too many unknowns. Instead, I drove 30 miles to a library in the next town over. Wore gloves. Brought a burner laptop. The drive opened with one folder. Ledger_A. Inside it, 172 spreadsheets. Plain Excel files with cryptic titles like client_routing_feb. Exchanges_DN1. RX_codes_alt. I opened the biggest file first. Shell company name, Eastlink Wellness. Entity ID, 00834A3. Strategic Liaison, Madison R. Quinn. Authorized material shipments, 2.1 kilograms. RX Type 92, Control Distribution, Red Label. 3.7 kilograms. White tablet, labeled Pet Supply, Variant C. 1.9 kilograms. Unmarked liquid sample, syringe ready. Locations. Cost Lane Storage Unit Number 32. Jefferson Avenue Salon Backroom. Whisper Pines Airbnb, reserved under T. Levon. Warehouse Number 14, Port District, after hours only. I felt my fingers twitch on the trackpad. The same warehouse district I worked security at 5 years ago. The one where I'd once stopped a guy hauling stolen car parts in a van with expired tags. Madison's name wasn't just on bank wires. She was signing off on logistics for prohibited product movement. Disguised. Diversion routes. Medical codes that didn't exist. Front businesses. Consulting locations with GPS coordinates. Trevor wasn't her boyfriend. He was her handler. Or worse, her partner. Friday night. I drove to the lake house at 11:47 p.m. Left an envelope taped to the back porch door. With a typed note. Ever wonder what Trevor does when you're not looking? You're not the only one being used. Inside, 2 printouts from the flash drive. No names. No warning. One page showed a shipment log. The other, a list of addresses used to meet with private clients, a term they used to refer to buyers. Each one marked with a timestamp and initials. Trevor's and Madison's. Saturday morning. At 8:03 a.m., she called. Blocked number. I let it ring. Then came the voicemail. You son of a, you think this is a game? You psychopath. Are you trying to get me arrested? Followed by, these are fake. They have to be, right? Logan, tell me they're fake. Then, he told me they were wellness shipments. Vitamins. Animal meds. I didn't know. I swear, Logan, I didn't know. That was the first lie she'd told that almost sounded like she believed it. At 11:12 a.m., she was escorted out of her office by security. Someone leaked the same flash drive to her company's general counsel. I know, because I did it. They froze her email, shut down her corporate credit. Her name got flagged on a compliance memo that probably flew through half the district's legal inboxes by lunchtime. From LinkedIn to LinkedOut in less than a day. That night, she sent 6 more voicemails. Begging. Rambling. One of them ended in what sounded like her crying. Or maybe laughing. Hard to tell. Sunday. We were at the hardware store, Caleb and me. He was picking out a new padlock for his toy box. Said the old one made a weird noise. As we came out into the parking lot, I saw him. Black coat. Same man from the tree line at the lake house. The one with the long scar down his jaw like it was carved with a jagged bottle. He wasn't trying to hide this time. Just stood by a black Lincoln with tinted windows. He tapped his phone. Then mine buzzed. Unknown number. Stop. Or next time, we meet at your boy's school. I looked up. He was already sliding into the passenger seat. Gone. Monday. I was at home alone. Caleb was at school. Doorbell rang. It wasn't Madison. It was Trevor. In a gray wool coat. Black gloves. Eyes like polished stone. He walked right into my garage, uninvited. You're done, he said calmly. You got your revenge. Now pull back. I didn't move. You threatening me again? No, he said. I'm offering mercy. I laughed. One bark. You see mercy in this face, Trevor? He stepped closer. She's not built for this, you know. Madison. She thinks she's clever. But she doesn't understand what she got herself into. I narrowed my eyes. And you? I was supposed to get in, get it clean, and get out. Then she wanted more. Bigger cuts. Her name on papers. Her fingerprints on drives. Sounds like you picked the wrong housewife to mold. He leaned in, inches from my face. You're in this now. You think you're the hunter, but you're just a complication. We know your face. We know your history. And most importantly, we know what you were before. That's when I knew. They weren't guessing anymore. They'd run my background. Whatever I used to do was no longer off limits. Thursday, 9:14 p.m. There was one location on the flash drive that kept coming up in the spreadsheets. Whisper Pines, Unit 4C. An upscale Airbnb cabin on the edge of the state line, tucked behind tall pine walls and advertised to quiet professionals. No listed phone number. No cameras on the driveway. Too quiet. Too deliberate. I drove up the side road at dusk. Parked 3 lots down. Didn't risk the driveway. Carried an old pair of binoculars I used during my time working night security at the port. For hours, nothing moved. Then, at 10:51 p.m., a matte black SUV rolled up the gravel path. Lights off. Silent. Trevor got out of the driver's seat, and she stepped out after him. Madison. Black jacket. Her hair tied up in a loose bun. High heels. Clutch in one hand. She was dressed like she was meeting a senator, not a client. They walked into Unit 4C without knocking. I moved closer. Slipped through the trees, keeping low. Got to the edge of the deck. Crouched behind the lattice and peered through the kitchen window. And what I saw? It didn't feel real. The deal. Inside the Airbnb, the lights were dimmed. A man sat at the center table. Bald. Thick wrists. Tattoo creeping up his neck like ivy. Another stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, face half lit. The man with the scar was there too, jawline sliced deep, the skin never fully healed. He held a silver case. Trevor stood across from him. Madison leaned on the counter, arms folded, watching like she was trying to memorize every detail for some future power play. There were no hugs. No greetings. Just business. The case opened. Stacks of cash. One of the other men popped a sealed container, revealing foil-wrapped packets. Small. Perfectly packed. Color-coded. No one said what they were. They didn't have to. This was organized. I snapped 5 photos through the window. Angles, faces, timestamps. Then I backed away slowly. Turned the corner of the building, headed for the back deck steps, and paused, just long enough to catch my breath. But something creaked, and a voice tore through the night. She sees me. Hey, Madison's voice. Sharp. Commanding. I turned. She stood at the back deck, one hand raised. In her other hand, a pistol. Chrome-plated. Shiny as her damn shoes. I ducked behind the porch post as the first shot cracked the air. Missed. Second shot shattered the railing behind me. I bolted through the trees, breath ragged, twigs slapping against my face. My boot snagged on a root. I fell, rolled, scrambled back to my feet. More yelling behind me. But no more shots. She wasn't trying to kill me. She was trying to send a message. She knew. And now she was willing to cross lines we couldn't uncross. By morning, I had another envelope ready. I mailed it to her salon, her safe space. Inside was a photo. One of the pictures I'd taken from the Airbnb. Her hand gripping the money case. Trevor with his hand on the clasp. The scarred man halfway turned toward the camera. No words. Just the image. And a red circle around her wristwatch. Timestamp burned in. She'd know I was there. She'd know I saw everything. She'd know it wasn't over. That night, my burner phone buzzed at 2:14 a.m. Unknown number. Just a photo. Of Caleb's room. Taken from the window. Lights off. Curtains parted slightly. The glow of his rocket lamp visible on the floor. And a single text. One more step, and you'll have more than memories to bury. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I sat on the couch for a long time, staring at the screen, every muscle in my body locked in place. Then I saved the image. Backed it up. Printed it. Folded it. Slipped it into my wallet. Behind the picture of Caleb's first birthday, the one where he wore the paper crown. Then I opened my storage locker and took out the evidence file I'd been building. Sunday. I knew they had another meeting planned. The flash drive mentioned Port Facility, Site K, Unit 3, scheduled for Monday night. The code matched another location used for client load-in verification. I used to do rounds at Port Facility K. I knew where the cameras were. Knew how the floodlights left blind spots between buildings. I made a plan. Gathered everything. Flash drive. Printed wire logs. Surveillance photos. Video recordings from the burner. Copies of Madison's journal entries. Maps with routes highlighted. A timeline from the first suspicious receipt to the last shipment record. All of it in a weathered manila folder. I called the local FBI office with a burner number. Used my old credentials. Not enough to blow the past wide open. Just enough to trigger a callback. Then I waited and sharpened every edge of the truth until it could bleed. Monday, 9:32 p.m. The wind was coming in off the river, sharp and metallic. The kind of night where the shadows feel thick and the air tastes like something's about to happen. I parked in a loading bay 2 lots over and walked the last quarter mile, folder in hand. Inside it was every piece of evidence I had, documents, photos, wire transfers, timestamps, the entire conspiracy from its rotten beginning to its inevitable collapse. I wore black gloves, old jacket, hat low, just another night crew guy cutting through the lot. Ahead of me, Unit 3, lights off, silent, but there were 2 black SUVs parked behind it. One of them I recognized. Trevor's. The other? Government plates. Good. They'd shown up. At 9:56 p.m., I crouched behind a storage crate and placed a burner phone on the concrete. One button, pre-programmed, connected directly to Special Agent Cross from the FBI's Organized Financial Crimes Division. We spoke yesterday, off the record. I gave him the flash drive, the logs, proof of the product transfers. He didn't ask about my history, just verified the materials and said, "We'll be there. Stay out of our way." Now, it was showtime. I pressed the button and dropped the phone. 2 minutes later, headlights from unmarked vehicles flashed once, then went dark, surrounding the facility. I crept closer. Through a slit in the paneling, I watched them gather. Trevor stood by a crate, clipboard in hand. Madison was there too, wearing black leather gloves, her lips pressed in a flat, nervous line. Her hands shook slightly, but she was trying to hide it, still pretending she had control. Across from them, 3 men, all in matching coats. One of them had the scar. Cases opened. Paperwork passed. Handshakes. Then the floodlights hit. For SUVs swarmed the lot. Doors flung open. Shouts rang out. FBI. Hands where we can see. Madison screamed. Dropped the folder in her hand. Trevor went for something in his coat. But they were faster. Pinned. Searched. Cuffed. It was surgical. Efficient. Beautiful. And then, as they were walked toward the SUVs, I stepped out of the shadows. Right into Madison's line of sight. The confrontation. She froze. Her eyes locked on mine like she was seeing a ghost. "You," she hissed. I nodded once. "Hello, sweetheart. You did this. You think you're a hero?" "No," I said. "I'm just your ex-husband with a memory and a folder." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand it." "I understand enough," I said. "I understand that you weren't just cheating. You were laundering. You were moving unmarked substances. You were handing off cash to people who don't blink before ending lives." Trevor turned toward me, coughed, sneering. "You think this ends with me?" "No," I said. "I think it ends with her realizing she backed the wrong man." Madison lunged, but the agents held her back. You're nothing, she spat. A washed-up warehouse rat who got lucky. No, I said softly. I'm a father. And you made the mistake of threatening what I love. She went quiet, and I walked away. Later that night, the twist. I returned home just past midnight. Caleb was asleep. A neighbor was watching him. I paid her extra just in case. I poured myself a drink, not to celebrate, but to settle my hands. It was done. They were in custody. The product had been seized. The accounts frozen. The interviews recorded. The house of cards? Flattened. I should have felt peace. But something felt off. My burner bust. Unknown number. Another photo. This time, not Caleb. It was me, walking home, taken from across the street. And a message. Very clever. But you forgot one thing. I'm not with him. The man in black. I knew immediately. It was the one with the scar. He hadn't been arrested. He wasn't part of Trevor's operation. He was something else entirely. I opened the envelope from my jacket, where I kept the scarred man's image, snapped during the Whisper Pines deal. I turned it over. For the first time, I noticed a watermark on the back of his coat, barely visible. 3 letters. I see. Not a gang. Not a cartel. A private contractor group. One I'd seen before, long ago. The same group that got involved in overseas operations the year I walked away from government work. Black budget. Untouchable. He hadn't been working for Trevor. He was observing him, which meant he saw me. He knew everything. 2 days later, a white envelope arrives at my door. Hand-delivered. No stamp. Inside, a copy of my FBI statement, a photo of Caleb sleeping, and a note. Clean exit. Last chance. You made your move. Now vanish. Underneath, in red. Because if you stay, we play.